Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and welcome to the ongoing series Talking Dance, sponsored by the Steps Beyond Foundation. I'm Alan Maniker, Foundation Board Chair, and I'm going to be your host and interviewer. This series continues to present an exciting lineup of dance artists who will be sharing their stories and insights with you. They range from across the dance spectrum. The full lineup and information can be found at stepsbeyond, that's one word, .org. There's also a place there to make a suggested donation, should you be so inclined, and we really do hope that you will do so that we continue to bring you this quality programming. Also, please note you can enter your comments and questions in the chat, and we're going to make every effort to answer all questions asked. And if you would like to let us know where in the world you're located and listening from, we would love to know. Tonight, we are delving into the world of tap, and we are doing it with one of its foremost practitioners, Michela Marino Lerman. Michela Marino Lerman was the winner of the 2019 Hoofer Award. She's a globally sought-after tap dance artist, performer, choreographer, band leader, educator, and all-around creative spirit. Most recently, Michela can be seen featured in the new U.S. postage stamp series dedicated to the art form of tap dance. Michela has performed and choreographed, produced, and directed many projects throughout her career, including leading her own band and company called Love Movement. She has performed on Broadway with Jennifer Holliday in Nothing Like a Dame, in London's West End with her show, This Joint is Jumpin', and now coming up, very exciting, is her debut season at the Joyce Theater in Manhattan from March 29th until April 13th. Please join me in welcoming this exciting tap and musical artist, Michela Marino Lerman. Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here. I just want to quickly just say it's from March 29th to April 3rd, not 13th.
Oh dear. Okay.
It's 1 week.
You know what? That was just me misspeaking. I actually had April 3 and read 13. But yes, let's clarify. That's March 29 through April 3.
Yes.
That's very exciting. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
So you're here in New York, yeah?
Yep, born and raised, born and bred.
Born and raised. What part of the city?
I'm in Harlem currently. I've lived in Harlem for about the past 12 years, but I grew up in Greenwich Village.
No kidding. Really?
Yep.
Wow. So you're making your way north.
I'm making my way north, but heading back down. You know, I went to high school around the corner from the Joyce Theater. I went there for school. I went there for their educational shows through my school.
How funny.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. But now in reading back about you, I saw that you were on Sesame Street at the age of 5.
I was.
Were you already tapping by that age?
No, I was just getting into it. I had just started seeing Gregory Hines in the movie Tap. I grew up watching a lot of old films, so I was familiar with, Fred Astaire, the Nicholas brothers, all of that. And then, the golden age of Hollywood kind of stuff. And then I saw the movie Tap with Gregory Hines, and I was just enamored by Gregory and so inspired by him, and had to meet him, had to know him, had to do what he did. It was really because of Gregory that I started tap dancing. It just so happened that the episode of Sesame Street that I was on, the segment that I was a part of, was featured in an episode that Gregory was the star of, and he was playing a magician that forgot his abracadabra, his secret password. And everybody was stuck tap dancing for the entire episode. He couldn't stop people. He had done a spell on everybody, and everybody's feet were moving, and he couldn't remember how to stop the spell. So at the very end, he remembered it, and it was a la sweet potato pie, and everybody finally stopped dancing. But the
but who?
segment
But
was in
how did you find your way to Sesame Street?
they had I believe they posted something in my elementary school that they were just looking for kids. And my parents saw it and knew I loved Sesame Street so much and thought it would be a fun experience. And we wound up shooting a whole segment in Washington Square Park with BB and CeCe Winans. I don't know if you're familiar with them, amazing gospel
Sure.
artists, and Elmo. It was the Winans, BB and CeCe Winans and Elmo, and we were dancing in the park.
Wow.
And
Well, but so were your
Gregory was
parents?
there.
That's amazing. Were your parents involved? Are your parents involved in the arts?
Not really, not directly. My parents are huge music lovers. They love music, art, film. They love the arts. And my mom does some art and some design. She was a fashion designer and worked for a few fashion designers, and is, does a lot of sewing and craft kind of stuff. So she's the most artistic, and she's the one that really introduced me because of her love of old costume and fashion, and also the love of music. She was the one that exposed me to a lot of those first films that I saw with the Nicholas brothers and Fred Astaire and all that. It's really a lot because of my mom.
Uh-huh. But were you taken to performances as a child?
Oh, all kinds of performances. I
Yeah.
saw BB King, I saw Stevie Wonder, I saw Little Richard, I saw I mean everybody.
But what about dance? What about tap?
Yeah, well, that was happening before I was seeing tap live. They were taking me to concerts from my very, very earliest ages. The tap didn't really start beginning until I showed an interest in it. But my first Broadway show was Jelly's Last Jam. And from there, I saw Crazy for You and, Showboat and all these shows. But Jelly's Last Jam was really my first one. It to this day is the most impactful thing I ever seen.
Were you old enough to see Sabian's show? Bring in the noise, bring in
Yeah,
the funk?
yeah, I saw Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk as well. But Jelly's Last Jam was prior to that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What did you think of Sabian's show?
It had a huge influence on me and my life,
Really?
seeing that show. Yeah, because it was seeing tap dance in this kind of contemporary perspective, uh, voiced by younger people. But it really, for me, my biggest influence was Gregory and Jelly's Last Jam. Gregory, because Gregory really, for me, propelled that movement of dancing to more contemporary music, contemporary sounds, electronic music and sounds, experimenting with electronic tap sounds. He's just really the one that catapulted the momentum of tap dance into this more modern sphere. So he's the forefather of it all. So
Right.
I always bring it back to Gregory.
Did you want to dance just like him?
Yeah, I've just everything. I wanted to dance like him. I wanted to talk like him. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be his friend. I just want to hang out with him. Everything.
But a good deal of that seems like it happened. You
It
did
did,
become his
and it
friend.
happened. It happened very quickly too. So like I said, the Sesame Street episode that I did, he was a part of, and that was like, oh my god, the guy from the movie is on Sesame Street. Now I have to find it. And then some tap dancers actually came and performed for my kindergarten class, and at the end of the class handed out pamphlets, and I brought it home, And I said, Mom, these there's Gregory, and then now these tap dancers came to school, and they gave me this pamphlet. And at first I remember my mom being a little taken aback, like, who are these people selling their school to my kid while she's just in kindergarten? But I wore her down. I got her to take me, and it just so happened it turned out to be Woodpeckers, which was the original kind of home-based studio for the American Tap Dance Orchestra, Brenda Buffalino. So at the time, this would be like 1990, 91, 92, something like that when I started. Um, Woodpeckers was the mecca. It was the center of the universe for tap dance. Everybody was hanging out there, practicing there, teaching classes there. So the first day we went to check out the school, someone told us, they were like, you see that kid over there? That's Gregory Hines' son, and he was taking tap lessons there. So we were like, okay, if this is where his son is going, this is the place. This is an acceptable, education and school. So,
But
not,
did your parents think at that time when you were busy at Woodpeckers there that you were going to be making a career out of this?
uh, I don't know. My mom always said she said I was always moving my feet. I was always dancing. I was always dressing up and putting on some kind of performance at home. So she knew I was into being artistic. She knew something was coming. And I don't know if we all knew it was going to land on tap dancing, but we knew right from the start how impactful it was, because from the very beginning I got to take lessons with Gregory. I got to take lessons with Jimmy Slide. I got to take lessons with Buster Brown. So immediately we were immersed in this community,
The
and
highest
wow,
quality. You had
and
the
the
highest
highest
quality.
quality, and the
Right.
highest quality, and embraced. We were welcomed in. So we were all hooked at that point. We all fell in love with everybody.
So when you go back to that time,
Hmm.
what was the hardest step for you to master?
Oh, probably pullbacks. I think that's one of the hardest for any
Explain a
teacher.
little what a pullback is.
A pullback is when you pull your toes. You jump up, you hit your toes, and you land. And then there's a syncopated version where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then many versions after that, single footed, forward. There's a million ways to do it after that, but getting that first, just figuring out how to pull up and hit the floor without just kind of scooting back that's the one. Like, if I'm teaching beginner dancers, we spend a week or two just figuring out that motion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Uh-huh. And was tap the only thing that you were taking? Did you take ballet or anything else?
Never really took ballet. I took a little jazz dance. And then, as we were talking before, I was getting a kind of side education from all these amazing mentors, a lot of the older ones, like the copacetics and Hoofer's generation of dancers. They were um, bringing me out and about to all kinds of things, and there was a lot of big band and swing music happening, so I got this kind of side education in Lindy Hop and swing as well. And then through Mabel Lee, who was another big mentor and influence in my life, she also taught us a lot of vernacular jazz dance, so original jazz dance from the jazz age of music, and kind of what you'd call solo Lindy Hop or solo swing. Um, so I got to learn a lot of that through Mabel as well. But tap has been the focus, and I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to tap. I want to see a tap dancer tap dance. I love that.
Hmm. So I'm kind of curious. Are tap dancers really particular about the sound of a floor?
Oh, Great.
And if you don't like the sound of a floor, are there any tricks of the trade that you do to make it the way you want it?
Um, yes, yeah. Well, first of all, yes, the sound of the floor is the it could almost be more important than the shoes sometimes. You know, the shoes have to be
Mm,
comfortable, but the floor really needs to be um resonant and hollow and a crisp, rich sound. Um, so the floor to me is, I don't know. It's at least a 60-40 between shoes and floor.
when you tour,
Mhm.
do you take your own floor?
Of course, I have to. I have to. I gave up on depending on venues long ago
Yeah.
to understand or provide, because it's a challenge to get them to understand the flooring. Two, it's a challenge to get them to understand the amplification that we need and the microphones, and that we need a monitor just like any other instrumentalist up there to be able to hear ourselves and other instrumentalists and live musicians. So all of that is a challenge, and that was something that Gregory really instilled and was the basis of a lot of conversations we had. He taught me how to um, speak with a sound person, ask for what I need, you know, and just advocate, you know, for whatever we need, and really just put your foot down. It's a real challenge with some sound folks and venues to get them to understand this. So offering them the option to just say, hey, I have my own floor, I have my own microphones, I just need to provide this backline, this monitor, these cables and cords, we're good to go. It's really open, like when you enter the door offering that, it already puts a light bulb off in their head, like, oh, okay, we need to support the tap dance in this environment.
Mm,
Especially since so much of my work is concert and music based. The sound is all I got.
right, right, right. Well, let's. I want to share and have a look at one of your pieces, and this is at Dizzy's.
This is an old one.
That was fantastic.
It's
Now, how do you feel watching that? You said it's old. What year is
it's
that from?
old. Yeah, that's from like 2014 or 15.
And how do you feel watching that again?
Oh, well, that clip is actually from my very first week-long engagement at Jazz and Lincoln Center at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola. So that's a very special, monumental moment for me to be in that space, and be working with those musicians. I mean, Russell, the bass player there, has become my partner. He's like my husband. He's my boyfriend, for life. And then Kyle, the drummer, we he's a brother. Every person up there I've forged a relationship with that is a lifelong bond.
Wonderful. So when you perform with an ensemble like that,
Hmm.
are they accompanying you, or are you another instrument in the ensemble?
Those relationships change at any moment, in any song. Um, the general answer would be yes. I am just another instrument entity on stage, just like any other instrument. Um, but there are times when they're supporting me. There are also times when I play a supportive role to them, and I hold a groove or a rhythm that's repetitive and continuous, so that another instrumentalist can solo over what I'm doing. And then there's lots of conversation and interaction going. So those roles and relationships are constantly moving, and that's the beauty of tap dance, of jazz music, of improvisation, anything improvisationally based.
So the piece that we just saw, was that all improvisation, partly?
100% all improv.
And
uh,
so, and would you say in any given program, is it mostly improvised, or is it choreographed, or a mixture of the two?
it really depends on which show you're seeing. Like this show was mostly improvised. A lot of the stuff that I do when I'm a soloist, the individual dancer with a band, whether it's my band or in another person's band, I'm improvising. Um, and then in the projects where I get to work with other dancers, I often interject some choreography, or I arrange the improvisation just like you would arrange a song. In this section, you improvise and you do this. And in this section, you improvise and you hold this groove, and stuff like that. So, like for the Joyce show, for example, most of it is choreographed. There is a lot less improvisation in this show than I normally do, but I made sure there was still a nice balanced amount of improv, since it's so much a part of what I do, what a lot of the dancers I've brought in focus on and love to do. And I just want to shout them all out. We have Roxy King, we have Melissa Almaguer, we have Tommy Wasuda, and Orlando Hernandez. They're all geniuses, genius improvisational artists. And I've tried to find a balance of choreographing and keeping cohesion, because there's a storyline to this show as well at the Joyce.
Right.
Um,
I wanted to hear about that. Can you tell us
oh,
give us a little bit of the storyline?
sure, sure. So the story is somewhat based off of my life, in a sense, some of my experiences, but it's told through the lens of the way that my shortest explanation has been Christmas Carol meets Alice in Wonderland meets Wizard of Oz meets Mardi Gras. That's the idea.
Okay.
Um, so my character journeys from the afterlife to New Orleans for the night before Mardi Gras. So this is where the kind of Christmas Carol thing comes in, and I go through a series of lessons and tests and experiences to kind of gain some enlightenment and be reborn and renewed. Feeling strong and like I've overcome some of the difficulties in my life. So I've created it, and it's all set throughout the night of Mardi Gras, and by the morning I'm supposed to, you know, you'll see what happens.
And how, so was this an original idea of yours? Did you write this script?
I wrote the script. This was an original idea of mine. It really became uh, a thing when I started seeing all these pieces coming together. I've been doing a lot of research on my ancestry and my background for a really long time, and I learned some things. So I have some Egyptian and North African ancestry, and I learned that the first carnival, the first kind of Mardi Gras-ish celebration that happened was, or documented at least, let me at least say that, documented, is this festival called the Beautiful Feast of the Valley, which happened in Egypt. And it's the first documented event of a Mardi Gras celebration in this time of year, kind of a, all kind of correlating around Easter, Passover, all that kind of crossing over time. Um, and I was really moved by that. And I knew I wanted to incorporate jazz and music, and I knew I wanted to incorporate some tap history. And so I started finding all these parallels. And then through some of the research I was doing about North Africa, I learned about Nawa music, which is a indigenous group of people who have created this music that is very akin to blues and jazz. So I started finding all these really interesting correlations between the research I was doing for my personal stuff and the research I was doing with tap history and music history. I was like, let's just put the show in New Orleans, and everything is copacetic. Everything becomes a melting pot, and it's just so reflective of New Orleans being a melting pot of all these cultures, and then the Mediterranean being a melting pot of all these different cultures. And that's really where I'm from. I'm Italian, I'm Jewish, I'm North African, I'm Egyptian. So I was very fascinated by the Mediterranean and the Caribbean and all the middle of the earth, and all of that. And I just, for 3 years through the pandemic, I had a lot of time on my hands and a lot of imagination, and I created this piece.
How wonderful. Had you ever spent time in New Orleans?
I've spent time in New Orleans. I've spent time in Egypt. I've spent time in Italy. I've spent time in Ukraine, which is where some of my ancestrally, some of my family's from. No relatives now, but heart goes to Ukraine. So
New Orleans is such an interesting city. I did part of my medical training there, and there's
wow.
and there's a face of the city that the tourists see, and then there's another whole city that exists underneath the level of the tourists.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was there for New Year's in 2018 going into 2019. And I got to go on a real second line, which is the Sunday celebration. And people basically just take to the streets and play and march. And we went all through the Treme, and I have to say, it changed my life. It is a huge inspiration of this show. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced before, and my friends and people I was there with. It was just extremely powerful, and this is just something. I'm also really infatuated and love the processions and the idea of procession and parade and celebrating life, and just it's so moving to me. And so this is all dedicated to just all those loves and passions.
And now you've put this all together, and
Yeah.
you're doing it at the Joyce. Are you
Yeah.
you excited? Are you nervous? Are you?
I'm very excited because rehearsals have been going phenomenally. This team is unreal. This team is just unreal. Everybody is so incredible. Russell Hall is the music director. The two of us have poured our heart and soul into the music we've written for this show. Our co-director, Dana Greenfield, she's incredible. Just everybody, our costume designer, just everybody, the cast, all the musicians, everybody's out of sight.
Are these musicians you've worked with before?
Yes, these are all musicians I've worked with before, and as the tap community is somewhat small and close knit, the jazz community is as well. And I've had this unique path, um, kind of journeying through the music world as much, if not more, than the dance world. At least in my later years and movements through the world. And they have become my family, and close friends as much as the tap dancers.
Hmm. Hmm. So it's interesting that you have so much different components to your ancestry.
Yes.
And that sort of brings me to that I noticed you've taught in over 15 countries.
Yes.
How wonderful. Is there, I think of tap as such a particularly American, if you will, an American art form. Are
Hmm.
there some places that grasp it better than others?
Yeah, and funnily enough, sometimes those places that grasp it better are outside of the United States.
Such as?
Uh, Japan, incredible tap dance community in Japan,
Really?
incredible tap dance community in Korea, and incredible tap dance community in Stockholm. One of the biggest festivals in the world happens in Stockholm. Brazil, Barcelona. It's global. It's global. I've been someone on Instagram has been writing me from South Africa. It's everywhere.
And
Uh,
why do you think that is? So that the Asian countries, that just seems, I don't know, is that prejudice of me to say that seems odd?
uh,
That,
I don't. No comment there, but I would
right?
say that they have fully embraced, and I just love
I mean, because they have no tradition of it, do they? Or do they? That I just don't know about.
everywhere in the world has a connection to percussion, to their body, to the ground. That's what has been universal everywhere I've gone. Is that every place has something where they stomp on the ground in rhythm and play drums in rhythm, and people move to the drums, and that is universal. That's
Hmm.
a human trait, and it's just the magic people of every region that carry those traditions, forward.
That's terrific. So I'm going to skip around and I want to talk about love movement.
Okay.
You tell us about love movement.
Oh, okay. Love Movement is my group. It really started as a band. Um, and after I returned from London doing the this Join is Jumping show that I created and directed out there, I came back and I was a bit drained from that process, and really needed some outlets for just feeling creative in other kinds of ways. And I just started writing music. I started hearing melodies and lyrics, and I started humming them into my phone recorder and singing them, and writing, scratching things in my notebooks. And eventually I was like, I think I want to pursue that. I had like a gig coming up where I had to present some new work or something like that. And I was like, I think I want to try to see what these songs sound like played by more than just me and singing and clapping in a phone. Um,
Do you also play an instrument?
I do not play an instrument. Russell kind of translates all my ideas musically. Um, but I mean, I know music in my heart and soul. I know exactly how I want things to sound. I know I know arrangements that I want things to be in. So I kind of translate my ideas to Russell, and he kind of brings them to life. And Russell is just such a gifted musician himself. So yeah, I passed those songs along. They came to life with my dear friends, and a few more gigs came in, and we just kept going with it and rolling with it. And then about a year or two later, I started adding more dancers and starting to choreograph little bits here and there, and it really just progressed, over the
So
years.
what's so I in a minute I want to show a clip from your movie that's your video that's entitled Love Movement. What
Okay.
was the connection between the group and this video?
This video just happened kind of at the very beginning of everything. Some friends of mine wanted to do a video project. I was really starting to pull all my ideas together. So, um, throughout all my performances and stuff, I've always experimented with electronic tap floors and sounds. Different textures, sand, and I have this like box, and just experimenting with different sounds. So we just decided to do a video that was focused on those different sounds.
Got it. Got it. Well, let's have a look at it,
All
okay?
right, all right.
Wow. Again, wonderful. Wonderful.
You.
Why was the first section called Iron?
It was a couple of reasons. There's a spiritual connection to iron. Through some there's a Orisha or god named Ogun, who's the spirit of iron, and I was very moved by his story and everything. So, and then the fact that the tap shoes are made from metal, the taps are made from metal. So it was kind of dedicated to the actual iron and physical taps that we use for sound. Shake was just because of the, salt and shaky substances in the box.
Sure, sure.
The last one, what was the last one called? I don't even remember.
The last one, I'm sorry I didn't show.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I'm curious. It must certainly be a different feeling when you're with musicians than with no music. Is
Yes,
it
yes.
is it more freedom, less freedom? What is it
Uh,
without music?
I feel more exposed. I feel alone. It's like, wait, where's all my friends? It's like, where, who do I communicate with right now? So, and just because I'm always working with musicians, it kind of like startles me now. I used to be so comfortable dancing a cappella, but it shifted when I got really spoiled by all my genius musician friends.
So there's no when there's no music, there's no place to hide.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
So when you co-created, choreographed, and starred in This Joint is Jumpin', first of all, as soon as I hear This Joint is Jumpin', my mind goes right to Nell Carter.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
You know, I
of
mean,
course.
I even as soon as I saw that you had done that, I went back and I had to listen to it because
Oh great.
she's the star of that song.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that did you have any of her voice when you were doing that? This joint is jumping or
No, we
no?
didn't have her voice, but we did have another Broadway legend, Lilias White, with us. So she was the female vocal lead of that show.
Got it.
That was a thrill to work with her.
Was the theater in the West End? Was it a big theater?
It was have you been to the Public Theater?
Sure.
It's very similar to that. It's a complex with several different size theaters, and we were in their kind of it. They had a bar in the theater. It was their kind of club theater, and
Oh,
we
so
played
you,
on that in the show. We used it as kind of a prohibition era kind of scene.
uh-huh.
It was
Because there must be a different feeling than performing for a large. I mean, I think of tap as being such an intimate
Mhm,
kind of an art form. There
mhm.
must have a different feeling from a very big house to a much smaller, intimate club kind of a thing.
Yeah, it happens. I definitely feel those differences, but I've just been so blessed to be able to get experience in both settings, and I feel very comfortable in either place now. After years,
Well,
but
I
it
mean,
was
is there any kind of compensation that you have to make if the house is larger?
yeah, the flooring thing can get weird there. Depending on what I'm able to travel with. Sometimes I only am able to travel with a small floor. And there have been instances where I've had to play a huge stage, but I'm only relegated to my little 3x4 tap board. So that can be frustrating.
Hmm.
The whole flooring and sound thing can really be frustrating, and it's just a constant fight. And I have faith and pray that through our all of our hard work and dedication, and in honor of Gregory, we continue to make some strides in that world.
Right, right. Well, what was the first? Because I noticed in the clips I looked at of the Stockholm Tap
Mhm,
Festival,
mhm,
it's sort of a very narrow portion of the stage that you are in the front. You know, the musicians in the back, and then you sort of have, and you like to travel from side to side.
well, I do. When I do get to spread out, it's always like, oh my god, I forgot I could do this. I forgot I knew how to travel. But also, we play the microphones. The microphones are usually at the edge of the stage. So
Uh-huh.
if it's a stage or a floor that's a little bit more tough, we play the microphones, or we find the sweet spots in the floor that are more hollow and more resonant.
Got it. Is that a festival that one has to be invited to?
No, not at all. It's open to the public. Students come from all over the world. It's really such an incredible um, organization and festival. I've gone for many, many years in a row. Shout out to Jonas and Andrew for holding that down. It's really such an amazing festival, and people come from all around the world, people of all ages, people of all shapes, sizes, creeds, colors, and levels of skill as well. Lots of beginner dancers come as well because they want to be immersed in the tap experience, off the bat.
How long does that festival last for?
um, in the past, I think it used to last for more than a week. I think it was like 2 weeks, but I think now it's a week. I think,
Really?
yeah, I think they used to go pretty hard over there. They have like epic parties and events too. They have done the festival thing right.
Right. Is there teaching incorporated as well?
Teaching all day, plenty of teaching, plenty of classes, all day long, events all throughout the night, jam sessions till the early hours of the morning, and just a lot of community space. I mean, people can stay together, hang together, uh, tap dance together till 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning at this
4,
festival.
5, 6 in the morning.
Yes, it's such an amazing festival.
That is amazing. And
Yeah.
then you get up and have another
They
class to
dance all
teach at
day.
10 o'clock, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. All
I
right.
learned early on, you duck out of the party if you got an early class in the morning.
Break out the ice bath for your
Yeah,
feet.
yeah, yeah.
So after the Joyce, do you take that show on the road?
That's the hope and the plan.
Yeah.
That's the hope and the plan. There's a lot of, what are they, pots on the irons on the fire. There's a lot of wheels spinning right now. So we'll see where it all goes.
Do you actually have other tours planned already?
I have other tours planned, not with this show yet, because no one's seen it yet. So
Right.
there's a lot of people who are interested and want to do it, but they want to see it. So
Right.
put it out there.
So where will you be touring to?
My next stop is Grinnell University. I'm teaching there, a residency for 2 weeks through their music department, actually.
Really?
Yep. And then, my goodness, we have a couple performances around National Tap Dance Day, possibly in New Jersey and Baltimore. Got some performances. I might be going to Europe this summer. We're supposed to be doing the Newport Jazz Festival this summer. So there's a lot of
Wonderful.
exciting stuff.
But wait, before you leave that thought, I didn't even know there was a National Tap Dance Day. When is it? So we can all mark our calendars.
Yeah, it's May 25th. And that is another thing Gregory Hines did in 1989.
May 25th, National Tap Dance Day.
Yep. Bilbo Jacob Robinson's birthday.
Wow. All right. So in honor, also coming sort of to honor National Tap Dance Day, we actually have to talk about this.
Oh, yeah.
How amazing is this? And for those of you that I don't know if you can see my pointer, but there you are.
There I am, the red stamp.
So how did this happen? This is so amazing.
This happened. One of my dearest friends, Carson Murphy, great tap dancer. Her brother is an incredible photographer. He was an incredible ballet dancer and has become a photographer. Matthew Murphy. He was contacted by the Postal Service that they wanted to do this tap dance series because they were so inspired by meeting a lot of the tap dance community when the Gregory Hines tap dance stamp came out a year prior. They met everybody at that event and loved it and wanted to do something more for tap dance. So they contacted Matt, and they basically kind of put Matt in charge to kind of send out the bat signal to the entire tap community that there was this almost like invited but open call to come to this photo shoot and get some photos taken that might be used as a stamp. And no one knew who was going to be chosen or who was going to wind up being, on there.
Can you point out the other people?
Sure, sure. So, all the way to the left, in the kind of tannish, yellowish one, is Max Pollock, and then myself.
Mhm.
In the teal one is Derek Grant, Dormisha Sumbry, Edwards, and Ayadeli Cassell in the white, in the yellow, yellow stamp. And Io is a sister and just a huge reason why we're even at the Joyce. She's amazing.
My dad collected stamps,
Oh
and
wow!
I'm completely convinced that had he still been alive, we would have had you in our collection of
Oh
stamps.
well, that's an honor. That's an honor. Thank you so much.
But that's just so fun. I mean,
Yeah,
really, that's like there you are, and there you'll
there I
always
am.
be.
Yeah,
It's a
always on tour.
little bit of immortality in the
Yeah,
stamps.
yeah.
That's great. So listen, there's a few comments and questions
Sure.
here. So let's see. Barbara Shenton
Yes, good friend.
says,
Good
"Hi,
friend.
Michela. Say hi to Terry and Jim for me.
Those are my parents.
Have a great debut at the Joyce."
Hey.
And then there's another question from Hank Smith.
Oh yes, that's
Is
like my
there a,
goddad,
is
Uncle Hank.
there a musician or artist whom you dream of collaborating with?
Oh my goodness. Oh, there's so many. Um.
And by the way, sending love to you, goddaughter.
Oh, Uncle Hank. Hi, Uncle Hank. um, Stevie Wonder, and that's
Stevie,
and that's for my mom, my dad, and Uncle Hank right there. Stevie Wonder,
he's the one you'd love to work with.
top of the list.
And you tell him what to do, or he'd tell you what to do.
Oh, I would just sit there in awe. I don't even know if anything would get done.
That's wonderful. And so, aside from a particular artist, what about uh, a type of work that you would like to do?
Oh, a type of
Chore-
work.
Choreograph a Broadway. Well, you've already sort of done a show. What about a movie? What about?
My dream really at this point is for this show to live for a while. I am very excited about this work. It's so personal to me. This is the most honest and transparent I've ever been in my life about
Mm,
experiences I've had and triumphs and tribulations and just I'm just kind of putting it all out there and also sharing everything that I love about what I do as a tap dancer and music. And I really just hope to uh, help people feel good for a while and heal from all the stuff we've all gone through over these
mm.
past years and continue to go through. I really just want to uplift people, give them strength, and I want everybody to feel good.
That's wonderful. I noticed also too that I read is Anna Devere Smith is doing narration for you.
Yes.
How did that come about? Are you're friends with her?
I'm very dear friends with her. She invited a friend whose name is Samora Pinderhughes, who's an incredible artist and musician himself, singer, songwriter, pianist, who has a wonderful relationship with Anna as well. She invited him to put a band together to accompany one of her classes that she teaches at NYU. And we were to accompany some of the actors who were performing and to kind of do a lot of improvisation exercises with them. And so I was part of that band. And she was not expecting a tap dancer to be a part of the musicians that were showing up that day. And she really just gave me a lot of love, and we stayed connected. And she invited me to her Christmas party at NYU. But then right after that, the next day, she invited me to her Christmas party at her home. And from there we just really got very close, and she just always was like, what are we gonna do together, what are we gonna do? And then when this happened, I said, do you want to do this? And she said sure. And Anna's very busy. You can see her on Netflix right now. She just has a new show out, so she was able to contribute some recorded narrations for us to use, and they'll serve as kind of like my inner voice in the show.
That's wonderful. She's so special, such a special performer,
Oh,
and her
there's
work is
no one like,
incredible.
yeah, and it's straight to the heart. It's really moving work.
So let's see. There's another comment here from Ro Dawson. I appreciate how Michela honors the previous masters like Gregory Hines while being innovative in evolving the art.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well,
That's such it's a very true but also wonderful comment. The art is evolving, isn't it?
it sure is. And that was Gregory's thing, just supporting young people, women, just letting it evolve, and while honoring the history and the traditions, and maintaining integrity while you're involved. Bash the past, or you learn from the past, you let it inform where you're at now, and you see how to improve things and build things for the future.
Right. Well, so at this point in your career, you're somewhat established. Is there someone coming up that excites you?
All I mean, I the
Come
dancers
on,
on the
pick one.
show, the
Pick
dancers
one
on
or
the show,
two.
the dancers
Pick,
on the show are incredible. I hate to call them up and coming. They're also amazing, but the dancers in the show, Melissa, Orly,
but
um,
I mean maybe someone who's evolving the art.
evolving the art. Let me see. Who should I? There's a
There,
young dancer named Jabu Graybill. He is just absolutely amazing. He and I'm very inspired by him because he's a musician as well. Puts out a lot of music and dance and incorporates it all together. So I would say Jabu.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. So then there's one last question here that's from Lana Turner.
Oh,
Exciting,
Lana! Hey, Lana! If this is the Lana that I know, hi, Lana.
exciting to hear your story, and just happened to be working on a bit of Mabel Lee's story.
Oh,
How much
wow!
how much time did you spend with her, and approximately what years?
Oh my goodness. I met Mabel when I was 11 or 12 years old, and she immediately became a mentor of mine from that point till when she passed away about 2 or 3 years ago. And I hang out with her at her house. We'd go to all kinds of events together. I was in her group, the Dancing Ladies, which she brought together a lot of female tap dancers. So like myself, Michelle Dorrance, Allie Bradley, a lot of people were in the Dancing Ladies, Maple Leaf's Dancing Ladies, Carson Murphy. Um, and it was a wonderful experience. I mean, every year for National Tap Dance Day, she'd bring us all together and she'd teach us and she'd hang out with us and she'd tell us stories. And that happened for 7, 8, 10 years in a row. We did that.
Wow.
And we would do it at National Tap Dance Day celebrations, and then for the New York City Tap Festival in July. So we have our spring show and our summer show with Mabel.
How old was she when she passed away? Do you know?
90.
Really?
We just celebrated her centennial this year. So
Well,
she was like 96, I think, when she passed.
wow. And to what age did she tap until?
96.
Seriously, she was still tapping at 96. So she died with her shoes on. She died with her tap shoes on.
They all did. They all danced to the end. And that's why I love them.
Will you?
As long as I have breath.
Wonderful. But I can't believe it. An hour has flown by. We've run out of time, but I speak for myself, and I'm sure everybody else that's listening. We're wishing you all the success with your debut season at the
Thank you
Joyce, which
so much.
again is March 29 till April 3. Yes, till April 3. And I can't thank you enough I know how busy things get for an artist before a season.
Yes.
So for you to take the time with us is really very special, and we can't thank you enough.
My pleasure. It's always great to have a great conversation. It was a great person.
Yes, great. Michela, thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for your questions and saying hello.
Great. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. If you've enjoyed this interview, please consider donating at stepsbeyond.org. People, we can really use your help so we can continue to bring you this interview series, and particularly our performance lab, which after a hiatus of over 2 years, we're resuming this spring. We're thrilled to be presenting new and emerging choreographers live in our studio theater in the Steps on Broadway Studio Theater to an eager audience, eager to see the new talents on the horizon. Choreographers and interested audience members can visit our website for full information where they can apply for the Performance Lab, and also please to make that much needed donation. Please help us. Once again, we can really use your help to continue bringing you this exciting programming. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all, and good night.